Well, a beautiful Sunday. Mine was. I'm certainly hoping that yours was as good as mine. Karibu sana. This is TV47 Weekend Edition. We meet again, but this time around on To The Point. We take a look at the news, but then after that, we get to the conversation. This time around, asking you just who is your next of kin? Quite a steamy, well, not steamy, but quite an interesting conversation there about. I dropped my poster, for the show tonight on my socials and all that. Oh my goodness, the feedback that I'm getting out here. Most of the people prefer putting their moms as their next of kin. Whom do you prefer? That's what we'll be discussing shortly also as we get you to understand the legal perspectives to that. But it is important that then we are updated as to what is happening around us and beyond. And here are the highlights. Tonight, families, schoolmates, and the entire Kenyatta University fraternity pay tribute to the 11 students who perished in a horrific road accident in Voi last weekend. And as the world marks World TB Day, low awareness and stigma and cost of treatment remain main hurdles in the fight against tuberculosis.
I started my medication, which goes for 6 good months. After that, the treatment was successful.
Council of Governors pleads with the doctors to call off their strike, citing great suffering among ailing Kenyans across the country. TV47 Weekend Edition begins right away. My name is Linda Alela. Our sign language interpreter is none other than Catherine Simaloi. As always, the lines are open for you to speak to us. We'll be having your numbers or our numbers right on your screen. But as well, 22047 is the SMS short code. I'll be looking at some of your comments that you send us as we continue with the broadcast. As always, the hashtag is to the point at Linda_Alela, TV47KE across all our socials. We start off with what it is that is the doctor strike, and the Council of Governors is appealing to doctors to reconsider their strike, citing the effects have been devastating this far for ailing Kenyans, even resulting in deaths. And of course, the Council of Governors Health Committee Governor, that is Muthomi Njoki, said that the now 13 days strike is hurting Kenyans, and thus the doctors should come to the table for discussions, which he is hopeful will yield fruits soon. Consequently, the governor notes that the government is willing to address some of the issues that doctors are demanding immediately, whilst, of course, others will be implemented as funds are found. The Health Committee chairperson has also lauded doctors in county hospitals for not joining their strike, saying that county governments have been extremely attentive to the request of doctors and implementing their requests.
Ready as a government to cooperate, but it is not possible to do it in one day. We must have a workable solution where we must trust each other. Tukisema internship tutafanya within the month of June, ama ifanywe mwezi wa August, kwanza kulipa ndio tupitishe budget. The union should understand. Tukisema universal health coverage hatuwezi waandika na siku moja mpaka ikuwe gradual. Madaktari mpaka waelewe, because at the end of the day, tukienda mgomo mpaka patients wetu waishe, we are being retrogressive with our health sector, which we have done so much. Kwa hivyo nauliza union.
Now, the Kenyatta University fraternity held its memorial service, a tribute to their 11 fallen comrades who passed on in a road accident in Maungu area, that is in Voi, led by Vice Chancellor Professor Paul Wainaina. The university has appealed for financial aid from well-wishers to aid in supporting the victims of the tragedy. Sheila Chilangat with that.
A somber mood engulfed the Kenyatta University graduation square. The moment too heavy for many here to bear, each person feeling the weight of the tragedy as the families shared tributes of their loved ones.
To think we'll never talk with you again, that we'll not have our day-to-day conversations is too much. What are we to do now? We're completely shattered. You've left away way too soon. you still have so much more to do.
I prayed so hard that it was only an awful prank. I remember going down the highway, dazed and confused, sick to my stomach with the thoughts of you.
And for those who survived, saying goodbye to their colleagues was a bitter pill to swallow.
Just Monday. It feels like yesterday, but also a lifetime ago. Our friends, vibrant with life, and now this silence. We are traumatized. That's the truth. And it is okay to say it aloud.
47 comrades are still recuperating in hospitals. The university says they require more assistance for them.
We continue to urge well-wishers to come forward and assist the university to cover the huge bills accruing from the critical and specialized care that hospitalized students are receiving.
President William Ruto donated 2 million Kenyan shillings in support of the families preparing to rest their kin.
Let us honor their memory by striving to create a safer, more compassionate world. To all motorists, my plea is that we exercise caution at all times. Let us be more vigilant and courteous on our roads, ensuring our safety and that of other road users.
Sheila Chelangat for TV47.
Now, at least 18 schools have been closed indefinitely in a span of 3 months. That is in Baringo North, following banditry attacks that has marred the region. And of course, the Joint Multi-Agency Rapid Assessment have reported that the attacks have claimed the lives of 16 people and displaced more than 2,000 families who now require humanitarian support in internally displaced camps. Rift Valley Regional Commissioner Abdi Hassan stated that the multi-agency team is assessing the affected areas to determine the number of schools impacted and the displaced persons at the banditry attacks. In 6 counties of the North Rift have started conversations on the government's inability to weed out bandits from their hideouts.
Shule yangu Ngaratuko walitupiga mchana saa 6 mpaka watu wa askari wa RDU wakaturescue na walitupeleka mbio kwa magari mchana, na tukangoa hata marago ila haijaiva kwa moto, tukapeleka tukafunga madarasa na tukaenda tukaambiwa tuende kwa hapa kwa sababu tutasingirwa na tutamalizwa. Sasa tukahama.
This century should not be in this time, and we have been asking the government, and we continue asking them to make sure that one, they protect life and properties, and more so they protect our children in schools, and make sure that we send the police and the special units to protect our schools. So that
sisi tumejitolea kuhakikisha ya kwamba tuandikishe historia ya kwamba hawa magaidi tuwasake, tuwafinye, tuwararue, tuwazoroteshe mpaka watokomee.
And now, as the global community observes World TB Day, of course, the theme, Yes, We Can End TB, the spotlight falls on the ongoing challenges that are faced by individuals battling tuberculosis. Despite medical advancements, those afflicted continue to grapple with stigma and the dilapidating side effects of the treatment of drugs. Pfizer Maureen tells us her journey with tuberculosis in this report. Listen in.
On a day like today, the spotlight shines on individuals like Pfizer Maureen, whose journey epitomizes the challenges faced by those battling tuberculosis. Pfizer was diagnosed with TB in 2022, a moment that plunged her into a world of uncertainty and fear. Initially, she says, she grappled with the weight of stigma, feeling isolated and misunderstood.
I was diagnosed with TB in 2022, like a day today, World TB Day. We went for outreach as healthcare workers. Then I produced my sample. The sample turned out as positive TB. I took it negative.
But Pfizer's journey didn't end with diagnosis. She soon confronted the harsh reality of TB treatment, as well as the weakening side effects of medications that took a toll on her physical and emotional well-being.
I experienced some side effects of the drugs, like the swelling of the lower limbs, pain of the lower limbs, but that one did not stop me from continuing with the drugs. I continued with the drugs at the first phase. For those signs I experienced the first phase. When I go to the second phase, they started disappearing.
According to Homa Bay County Director of Health Services Dr. Gordon Okomo, 40% of TB cases are still missing annually, according to TB Prevalence Survey report of 2016.
These patients continue infecting others, adding to the already big number of undiagnosed people. For us to find all people with TB, we need to realize that TB is everyone's business and therefore take responsibility.
Tuberculosis remains to be a threat in the country, rated as one of the killer diseases, especially prevalent in the rural areas. In January this year, the Ministry of Health, through Principal Secretary for Public Health and Professional Standards Mary Muthoni, launched a plan to combat tuberculosis in the country. The 5-year strategic plan aims to ensure quality care for TB, leprosy and lung disease for all Kenyans. Data from the Ministry of Health in November 2023 indicate that findings and treatment of TB have improved after a sharp drop in 2020. Last year, 90,841 people with TB were identified out of the estimated 112,000. Ann Odida, TV47.
Tensions have gripped the Lamu West constituency after terrorists attacked the area, leaving 2 dead and 1 seriously injured. The suspected Al-Shabaab terrorist attacked the area last night, as our reporter Natasha Wairimu informs us.
2 Rapid Deployment Unit officers have been killed and 1 injured during a suspected Al-Shabaab terrorist attack in Lamu West constituency. According to locals, the incident took place around 8 p.m. and was characterized by fierce gunfire between the criminals and the officers.
Na katika hiyo hali imeweka wananchi na tension, hata wengine saa hii wameanza kubeba mizigo wakienda. Wengine hata wanashindwa sasa hapa watarara kihivi.
2 homes and other properties were reportedly set on fire by the perpetrators during the attack. A resident identified as Simila Voya narrates her story against the terrorists.
Wakaniambia sasa kama uko na hizi mbuzi kama zinaenda nini iko hapa? Nikamwambia si hakuna kitu hapo. Hakuna kitu hapo kwa nyumba. Nikamwambia hakuna kitu. Ila waliona kama nakataa. Aya, wengine wakaingilia hapa, wengine wakaingilia kwa hiyo mlango wa nyuma. Wakatoka, mmoja akatoka huko na kuku na mayai na unga. Na mwingine akatoka na power soy yenye imeungulia hapa hiyo. Na mwingine akaenda kwa bedroom akabeba suitcase yangu iko na nguo zenye navaanga nikienda safari.
The Lamu County Security Department has called on the communities affected by the attack to remain vigilant, revealing that investigations into the incident have commenced. They also urged leaders to work together to bring stability and improve security in the constituency.
Nataka nitoe wito kwa viongozi wote wa gatuzi hili la Lamu, viongozi wote wa serikali, kwamba tushikane bega kwa bega kuhakikisha kwamba adui huyu hajapata nafasi hata siku moja, kwa sababu hili ni jambo ambalo tukilichunguza kiundani huenda kawa linahusiana na mzozo wa ardhi, lakini sitaki niliweke hilo kwamba ni jambo la kipaumbele.
For TV47, I am Natasha Wairimu.
Now, the proposed new reforms for security guards is yet to be implemented to date. The Kenya National Private Security Workers Union Secretary General, that is Isaac Andaba, has called on all security guards to avail themselves on 30th this month at Uhuru Gardens to rally behind the implementations of minimum wage bill of about 30,000 per month. And speaking in Nairobi On Saturday, Isaac Andaba said that the government and the regulator have come to an agreement to implement the proposed minimum wage bill of 30,000 shillings. He also noted that the guards will be given guard force that in numbers of the same day. Now, the guards who were present also joined hands with the union and vowed to avail themselves on 30th this month at Uhuru Park to ensure that their welfare is well taken care of.
Slavery, exploitation, kunyanyasa, kuipia watu overtime, kuipia watu allowance, environment ya kazi, kuzikwa kama kakasi ya ng'ombe, inaisha tarehe 30. Nataka niseme hivi, hii safari ya reform katika private security, watu wengi wameparticipate ndani. Kuna employers ambao wamesupport union by deduction of union dues. Mungu abariki hao employers. Kuna maaskari ambao walijitokeza angalau wana minimum wage, lakini wanaleta check off pesa kidogo kusaidia union ili kudrive mambo ya reform katika private security. Despite being paid peanuts, you supported the union and reform agenda. Mungu awabariki sana.
Now, President William Ruto has once again stated that the court injunctions and naysayers against the affordable housing program and his plan to transform the country's economy will not deter his administration from implementing the Kenya Kwanza promises. Speaking here in Nairobi, the head of state said that he doesn't care when his antagonists refer him as Zakayo, in as much as his projects are, of course, underway to better the living standards of Kenya. And of course, this report has been compiled by Mike Kagungu.
President William Ruto has reaffirmed that the government will not falter in its commitment to carrying out initiatives that will revolutionize Kenya. Speaking Sunday afternoon at the Anglican Church of Kenya, Emmanuel Church Bahati in Nairobi, the head of state declared that he will not allow any amount of criticisms to deter him from carrying out policies meant to enhance Kenyan standards of life.
I have absolutely no issue with whatever is being said left, right, and center. My focus is to make sure that we change our country.
Dr. Ruto reflected how some opposition leaders described him as Zakayo, saying that his goal is still to reform the country and that he won't be stopped in carrying out Kenya Kwanza's pledges.
Bishop amenisaidia kuniambia ya kwamba jameni, msinite majina mara Zakayo mara nani. And I want to tell you, I have no problem being called whatever name, so long as I achieve a better destiny for our country.
President Ruto said his affordable housing project will not only provide employment opportunities for young people in Kenya, but also ensure there is sufficient land available for agriculture and food production.
That is the reflection of the mirrors.
In an effort to create a peaceful learning environment, the president stated that his administration has set aside 1 billion shillings annually to support the construction of 1,000 classrooms in Nairobi County.
Because I made a commitment in the next 3 years, lazima tujenge madarasa mengine mapya 3,500 outside pesa ya CDF ambayo wabunge hawa wanapatiwa.
Na mimi siwezi piga rais, hata nikamwambia Bishop, hata ungeniambia sina kitu ya kumpiga sahi. Sasa kama ameshapatia kiongozi wangu support, mambo gani ingine?
Nairobi County Governor Johnson Sakaja drummed up support for county's affordable housing project from the president, maintaining that Kenyans affected by positioning of affordable housing shall be given first priority to occupy the built houses.
When we build the houses, that house belongs to you. What you've been paying from the 50s or the 60s is your mortgage. Imeshalipwa. So ile nyumba ambayo tunajenga, tunawapatia, hakuna nyumba si bure, mumelipia.
After the church service, Dr. Ruto interacted with the Bahati residents where he reaffirmed his promises to Kenyan people. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Mike, for that. Now, Palm Sunday commemorates the triumphal entry of Jesus into Jerusalem when he was greeted by cheering crowds waving palm branches that they set out on the ground along his path. Days before his eventual crucifixion in Jerusalem, Kenyans joined their counterparts in an event that serves as a reminder for Christians to welcome Jesus into their hearts and be ready to follow him. Kisewa Emory tells us more.
Kenyan Catholics today joined their counterparts from around the world to commemorate Palm Sunday, a day that is the remembrance of the triumphant entry of Jesus Christ to Jerusalem atop a colt. The Catholic Archbishop of Nyeri and Embu dioceses, Anthony Muheria, led youths in their hundreds for about 2 kilometers to the St. Peter and Paul Cathedral in Karurina, Embu Diocese. The youth walked through Karurina Shopping Center singing Hosanna and waving palm tree branches, after which the Archbishop Muheria said that the youth are the future of this country and they must be ready to take up their responsibilities, while urging the youths to recommit and renew their lives to God.
Kumbuka leo tutaanza kwa hii injili, lakini kule chini tutasoma injili ya kifo cha Kristo, kuonyesha vile wiki hii itatokezea. Mwanzo ni sifa na utukufu, lakini kwa sababu ya unyonge na dhambi zetu, baadaye kutakuwa asulubiwe, hukumiwe, ondolewe. Basi chagua vile utakavyokuwa maishani mwako.
Elsewhere, Christians from Kero and St. Anne's Mudhuru in Kikuyu and Kabete constituencies have joined other Christians to celebrate Palm Sunday. Following a blessing of their palms outside the church, faithful Christians symbolize the season through hymns carrying the palms to symbolize the entrance of Jesus Christ to Jerusalem.
Coming with love, and that's why he is dying on the cross, so that he may have, and we may have that love among us ourselves, not the political divine, but as people of God. And therefore, as Kenyans, we should continue loving one another.
Kisewa Emory, TV47.
All right, as the transition committee for NHIF insurance to SHIF continues with its duties before implementing a SHIF insurance in the country, some Kenyans suffering from chronic diseases are at crossroads, not knowing if the money they had paid in advance will be linked to SHIF. Our reporter, Wanji Sustain, visited Sitila village in Kabuchai constituency and interacted with some patients and filed this report.
At Stila village, Kabuchai constituency, this is the homestead of Kizito Wafula, an old man whose leg was amputated due to illness. His 49-year-old son, Oscar Wafula, has also tested the suffering of illness and has been managing a spinal cord complication for 6 years now.
Niko katika hali ya maumivu na siwezi fanya kazi yoyote. Hii mgongo ikianza kuuma inabidi nilale chini. Na ninalala na tumbo, siwezi lala hata na mgongo, ndio niweze kupata relief. Madawa ambazo natumia ni very expensive. For a month I'm spending around 14,000.
As the government makes efforts to change NHIF insurance to SHIF as one of the ways to deal with the corruption that has hit the health sector, Wafula suggests that the government considers changing some of the clauses, expressing concern over the transition and those like him who might lose out on services in the process, a concern held by many. For example, a number of patients are concerned over the apparent limit of only one NHIF approved surgery per year.
Huwezi pata hii specialized surgery sometimes. Ukienda Kenyatta unaambiwa when patient number 2000. Kama mimi wakati nilikuwa referred kwa Kenyatta hospital, nikamwambia kuna wengi sana wamepanga line. So itabidi ungoje ukuje after 1 year ndio surgery yako, na huko unaumia, hali yako sio mzuri. So hapa katikati kitu yote ikitokea unaweza poteza maisha yako, na sio vizuri, na wewe umekuwa ukilipa NHIF for some time.
Hawezi wakakusaidia surgery ama for example kama uko na emergency, like kesi yake inakuanga mostly emergency because unaweza fika tu hospitali nasema in 2 weeks time. Kama like hii surgery wamesema it's urgent. Film mambo ya NHIF itusaidie kusimama katika kile kiwango. Tukaambiwa ya kwamba hawawezi peana mara 2 kwa mwaka ama mara 3.
Patients who are affected by chronic diseases have a hard time in public facilities, preferring private hospitals which typically have shorter queues.
Mkenya wa kawaida anaumia sana. Saizi hata ukienda NHIF yenyewe hakuna hospitali saizi inachukua NHIF. Hakuna. So most patients wanafika pale wanarudishwa nyumbani. Wanakufia huko katika hali zao na maumivu yao. Ukipelekwa government referral hospital utakutwa kwamba daktari mwenye anastahili kushughulikia hayuko ama hawana specialist.
Private hospitals they normally refuse. Juu wanasema serikali haiwalipi in time. Right now nurses wako on strike. Sasa wakati unapeleka mgonjwa private, you have to have cash. If you don't have kutibiwa, you come back or you die.
The family is now urging well-wishers and government to intervene and help their kin to undergo another surgery at one of private hospitals in Eldoret.
Saizi ninaomba tu muhifadhi ama muhisani yoyote my governor Lusaka, ikiwa wanaweza kuja waone hali yangu naweze kusimama na mimi katika hii safari ya kuweza kupata matibabu.
A week ago, the Cabinet Secretary for Health, Susan Ahmecha, said